Hey everyone, welcome back to the Poplar Report. We got big news coming out of the EU. This is not being talked about, of course, but this is actually a tip-off from one of you viewers, so I appreciate those. So just last week, the EU changed the rules on what could be added without any labeling onto products, and they added two new ingredients: crickets and mealworms. They can now grind up crickets or mealworms and into a powder and then put them into all sorts of products, all sorts of prepackaged products without doing anything other than just adding it as an ingredient. That has some serious problems. We're going to get into that and more, folks. This video is brought to you by Genesis Gold Group. If you have money that's in retirement funds that you want to move out of stocks and bonds, they haven't been doing all that great recently. The last 6 months have been pretty brutal, actually. If you want to get that over to silver, gold, platinum, physical silver, you want to talk to Jonathan and his team. They can answer your questions about how to get your IRA or 401k switched over. You can find them down in the description down below. So, what is so bad about adding crickets and mealworms to processed foods? Now, at first, I'll have to say this. A lot of people are just absolutely just flabbergasted by eating bugs and all that kind of stuff like that. I've lived overseas, and I understand that other cultures do eat bugs, and that's not that big of a deal. Certain types of bugs, and they're used to eating these bugs, okay? So if you go to down to the Amazon, you'll find people eating bugs. If you go to certain Asian markets and stuff like that, certain bugs they'll eat. If you go to American cities and you get crawfish, which are basically, and lobsters, they're basically bugs that live underwater. So it's one thing to put bugs out there and people make a choice. It's another thing when you start sticking it in people's food, particularly, and here's the big issue, allergies. Those who are allergic to dust mites, crustaceans, and mollusks are highly likely to suffer allergic reactions to to the crickets, basically. So they're just going to take something that people could be actually quite allergic to, they're just going to start sticking it in food, and they're not going to give any allergic warnings. If they start sticking shellfish into food products, they have to actually market that there's shellfish in this because people can have allergic reactions. But the woke agenda here is that everyone needs to eat bugs because it's more sustainable. So therefore, we're going to just cut out all the safety rules. We're going to just go ahead and just put it into processed foods, and we won't tell anyone and just hope nobody dies. People who have shellfish reactions can have very severe allergic reactions. Now, they are required to put, for crickets, the term is Acheta domesticus. That, they don't say crickets, they say Acheta domesticus. Here's just a list of products that they are going to start putting cricket powder into. Multi-grain bread, multi-grain rolls, crackers and breadsticks, cereal bars, dry premixes for baked goods. So if you're just going to make some brownies and you're allergic to shellfish, you got to check to make sure it doesn't have shellfish in there, because that's what you always check when you're making a cake or brownies, because why wouldn't there be shellfish in there? Cookies, dry filled and unfilled pasta products, sauces, processed potato products, dishes based on legumes and vegetables, pizza, general pasta and whey powder products, meat analogs. Oh, wait. I see what you're doing there. So all the Beyond Meat stuff, they're going to stick the crickets in there? Think about that. Meat analogs. Vegetarian meat alternatives are going to get crickets in there because apparently crickets are vegetarian. Think about that. So they're gonna make vegetarian food non-vegetarian and not tell people. That's just like them. That's just like them. Soups and soup concentrates, soup powder, cornmeal-based snacks, beer-like beverages. So if you're trying to drink beer, better check to make sure there's no shellfish in there. Chocolate products. Oh, you wanted to eat chocolate? Sorry. Snacks except for chips and meat preparations. Friends, imagine if you or someone you love is allergic to shellfish and suddenly every single thing on the shelf has now become a potential shellfish. It's when you're dealing with allergies, you should only stick things that people, a large portion of the population, are allergic to. You should only put those things in things that make sense for those things to be in. I don't usually check for certain things to be in pasta. Why? Because you wouldn't stick that in pasta. That's just ridiculous. And to be sticking something that people could be allergic to in everything and barely mentioning it is downright a crime. And this could injure people severely and kill people in Europe. So this is what they're doing in Europe. They've already started doing this a little bit in the United States, but I haven't seen them do this a lot yet. If they start doing this big time in the United States as well as Europe, if you have a shellfish allergy, I don't know what you do except wander around with an EpiPen and just really, really watch what you eat. You go to a party and you're trying to eat some snacks that other people lay out. Like, this is a serious problem. This is a serious health risk. I mean, we were talking about like the few people that that get injured from this or that, but suddenly they do something like this where it's significantly endangering us, a fairly large number of people out there. And, you know, it's the woke agenda, and it'll just steamroll everything. Safety isn't really a thing that they're concerned about. They say safety, 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 but one thing after the next, they do things that just completely undermine everyone's safety. Gun control is a perfect example, and they do this all the time, is that they're removing people's, law-abiding people's ability to protect themselves. It's statistically shown that when you do that, it increases the crime rate, increases violent crime. But see, the purpose isn't safety for you. The purpose is safety for the government. You see, once you realize that, everything changes. See, it's not sustainability for the planet. It's sustainability for governments and their power. This is what everything really comes back to. The whole big agenda from the top down is really all about just one thing: control. Controlling you and putting you in your place. Forcing you to do the things that you don't want to do, and sifting constantly out of society the people that object to it. This is what happened over in Dragon Country. They used the lockdowns, they used all that kind of stuff to make people disappear. Who did they make disappear? The people who spoke out. The people that spoke out. They did the same thing in Canada. They did the same thing in parts of Europe. They made people disappear in China and allegedly in other places. And if we don't watch them and watch them closely and stop them by observing and speaking, it's just going to go downhill from there. All right, folks, keep your eyes out for those type of stories out there, things that they're just trying to slip right on through. They're just trying to move things forward. They're trying to shut down the airports. They're trying to shut down shipping. They're trying to shut down, they're moving the ball on making internal combustion engine illegal in places like California. They just, one rule after the next, they're trying to move their agenda so far forward that it can never be rolled back. And once again, it's not what they say it's about control. Friends, if you don't stand up, if you don't push back, if you don't speak out, it's going to be really, really awful hard to push back later. All right, friends, if you found this video useful or helpful, you might want to check out this other video right here. I'll see you over there, or I'll see you later. Steve Poplar out.